am the Assistant Director of Global Experiential Learning at the Global Learning Hub. And so I'm going to be chatting just a little bit at the beginning, and then I'll be passing it over to my colleagues at GoinGlobal. I mentioned in the chat box, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to type them in the chat box. You can type them directly to me, or you can type them for everybody to see. As appropriate, I will be reading out the questions to our GoinGlobal team, and they will either be answering it during the presentation where relevant, or we can wait for the end to get those questions answered. Just so you know, this meeting is being recorded, and so if you wanted to go back later to look at something that was reviewed, you'll be able to do so. So again, this is part of a presentation that the Global Learning Hub is offering. If you haven't heard of the Global Learning Hub yet at UC Davis, it is a both physical and virtual space where you can find global learning opportunities that are available on campus, in our region, across the world, and globally focused programs and global learning can happen both locally, virtually, or internationally. So our main categories within the Global Learning Hub, we offer study abroad, global internships and research, community engagement, and skills and leadership. And so you'll see that on our page. And it's important to note these 4 different categories because one of the places where you'll be able to find GoinGlobal is under this global internships and research page. And so I am going to show you where you can find GoinGlobal if you are a UC Davis student accessing GoinGlobal. However, if you happen to be joining us from another university, if your university also subscribes to GoinGlobal, you will be able to access it directly through your university. So for the UC Davis side of things that I'm going to show you, you do need to have a UC Davis login. It's going to log in with your Kerberos ID. So just an overview introduction. GoinGlobal is a powerful online tool that UC Davis and many other universities subscribe to. And students are able to log in with their campus credentials to access all of the resources that we're going to be going over today to help you fast track your academic and career goals. There are several sections within GoinGlobal that we're going to be highlighting. As you may hear and start to see, there's a lot of information, so we won't be able to show you everything, but we will be able to give you the tools and resources so that you can go home and take a deep dive into either the career guides, the global job and internship search, employer directory, and H-1B plus search. So before I introduce our presenter, Marianne Thompson, who's also the president and founder of GoinGlobal, I am going to show you how to find GoinGlobal on UC Davis's page. And so hopefully you can see this page right now. This is our Global Learning Hub page, globallearning.ucdavis.edu. Under under internships and research. You scroll down, you'll see a variety of opportunities related to finding an internship, including internships through study abroad, funded internships, research internships, virtual internships, global internships available with the Internship and Career Center, and then you'll see this GoinGlobal search. So if you click on that, then what you'll have is a little bit of information about GoinGlobal. The very first time you log in, you will have to enter your Kerberos ID, and then after that, it's going to automatically connect you. And so this is the page that Deborah from GoinGlobal is going to be sharing, and Marianne is going to be telling you about. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I will pass that along to Deborah. And then while she's pulling that up, I did want to just answer a question that came in the chat. Someone says, I'm a UC Davis alumni. Will I be able to use this? And as long as you have a UC Davis Kerberos login, you will be able to. So I'm not sure for how long you have access to that. But if you've just recently graduated and you still can log in with your Kerberos, you will be able to. Otherwise, it is only available to students who have a Kerberos ID login. So passing it along to Marianne, can you see the screen? Also, Marianne might explain this, but there's some severe weather hitting Alabama right now, and so gonna be maybe be in and out of service. So hopefully, crossing our fingers, we'll be able to make it through this presentation.
Paula, thanks so much. This is Marianne Thompson, the president and founder of GoinGlobal. Paula, do you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. Well, thank you to Paula for inviting us and hosting this introduction, or really an overview to GoinGlobal this afternoon, and thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us. Unfortunately, I have gone over to a registration page, so I don't know how that's just happened. And now I've lost Zoom. There we go. So as Paula told you, you're talking to me in Hurricane Alley. Speaking to you from Mobile, Alabama. We are on track at midnight tonight to take a direct hit from Hurricane Sally, one of many in my lifetime. So we're prepared, and this is probably the last thing I'll do before I board up my house. So here we go. GoinGlobal is a company and a resource that I founded over 20 years ago when I was career hunting myself as an unemployed expat based in Stockholm, Sweden, after having lived many years as a lawyer in Washington, D.C. So it's evolved to 900 academic subscribers, 3 million students, so who have use, as you do, complimentary access, thanks to Paula and her office there at UC Davis, to our resources. Today, we're just going to give you a high-level introduction to what is GoinGlobal. As you see in the top right margin of the page, we offer training sessions which are much more in-depth, several times a month on different days at different times, for different time zones around the world. So if you want to learn more, I invite you to join us for one of those sessions. So here is the home page of GoinGlobal. First, let me thank my colleague Deborah Warner, who's joining me today and who is going to help me introduce you to our resources. Let me give you just a quick highlight. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go through the highlights of the site. It'll probably take about 20 minutes. We're going to provide you with some actual searches through the site, show you how that works, especially our job and internship resources, 16 million of those. So we'll show you how that works. Then I've put together a brief PowerPoint slide presentation on some research I've done the last week on COVID, what COVID has done to the employment platforms around the world. Some of the stuff you know, some of it you don't. I have found it very interesting. I hope you will as well. After that, Paula will provide us with the questions you have given to us in the chat, and then we'll be off the phone within the hour, if not sooner than that. So just a brief thing, a couple of things that makes GoinGlobal unique really around the world, not just in the academic market. The first thing we're going to take a look at, as Deborah's going to show you in the drop-down, are our career guides. That's where I started. I developed my own career guide for my own job search in Stockholm, Sweden. So today we have 120 of these career guides. We've got, and Deborah, no need to pop over yet, but we've got country career guides, we've got global city career guides. We have 50 city career guides for the U.S. Despite our name, people do not think of GoinGlobal as a U.S. resource, nor do they think of us as a resource for looking for jobs and internships and how to approach that opportunity in their own backyard. So if you're joining us and you're from Australia or you're South Africa or Brazil or Taiwan, we're just as big a help, we think, in providing you with resources to explore opportunities at home as we are in other locations around the world, 120 of those to be specific. Each one of the career guides, we're going to look at one as an example, because all of our career guides that you see in this drop-down collection have the same format, have the same topic areas. As Paula said at the beginning of the call, it's an extremely robust resource. These career guides are 185 pages in depth. They are written by local experts. So we're really the only resource on the market where people who are in the career or employment market in these locations help us with developing this information, which is constantly updated. So we've got our country career guides, our global city career guides, as I said, the U.S. city career guides. The next thing we're going to take a look at in this afternoon's presentation is there are the jobs and internships. There's 16 million of these. They are worldwide in scope. So even though our career guides focus on 120 locations, these are global in perspective. We will show you how that functions, the fact that this system, which is unique to Going Global, culls or pulls opportunities as they have been posted in both the local language and in English. We'll take a moment to look at information on H-1B visa applications. We have all the H-1B visa applications that have been submitted to the Department of Labor, which is the only place these are submitted since the year 2009 to date. So we'll show you how that functions. Last but not least, we have a resource that we call our employer directory. So these are corporate profiles of the top 500,000 employers throughout 193 countries. So it's a great resource. It's updated all the time. You can look at it by brands, by revenues, by number of employees. So we'll show you how that functions as well. Deborah, if you'll go back up to the top of the page, I just want to make sure that people understand we've got a translate function. So I'll keep telling you because I'm so proud of our team that is virtually placed. Going Global has been virtual for 20 years, so it is, excuse me, very interesting to me how the world is evolving to where we've been for 20 years. And I've got to tell you, working remotely or virtually is challenging. But here we are, and even though our baseline is in English, you can select any one of 50 languages as you're reading our career guides. Now remember, when we get to jobs, they're already posted in the local language. So this is a functionality that works throughout our career guides, and I wanted to point that out before we go first into our career guides. So Deborah, if you can go to the career guides, and let's just take a look right now at the country career guides, please, if you'll go to that page. So Deborah's going to take us, remember we've got country career guides, global city career guides. So these are, Deborah's just going to quickly scroll down the locations for our country career guides. Those have been selected based on the top study abroad locations, the top expat work locations, and the top multinational employment bases around the world. So we even do extensive research as to how these locations are selected. So as I said, we have 120 plus of these all written locally, but that's how we choose these. And we also choose these based on customer input. So if Paula or somebody came to us and we got several requests for an additional country, we would go there. We also do it based on actual employment opportunities. So for a while, we had not had a guide on a couple of countries that we've since developed them on because the employment opportunities weren't robust enough. So Deborah, pick a country and let's show folks how our career guides function, please. All right, Deborah has selected Spain, and so what we're doing is take a look across that top banner under the graphics. So there's a snapshot page, which we won't take a look at, but Deborah, these are our major categories. Deborah, if you take a look at finding a job, this is how in-depth the information is. So job search resources. It has an overview. We talk about online job sites. This is not, we haven't just gone online and picked all the online job sites in Spain. This is what a local expert who we have privately vetted has identified as the more reputable, credible online job sites. And you'll see that we just don't provide you with a link to online job sites. We give you enough information to know whether, say, it may only be in engineering and finance, or finance and accounting, or anyway, we give you enough information at the very beginning to let you know if this is a resource you would or would not be interested in. I do want to especially call out telework and freelance. Again, we've had this category for almost a decade. I invite you to look at this. This section has really gone off the deep end with user use since the pandemic. It tells you what resources are available to find current opportunities that are freelance, telework, and remote in nature. You go through this, you'll find out about job fairs and career events, staffing agencies, executive recruiters, and search firms. Somebody at the top of the call said that they were an alumni. So we do provide a range of information for people, individuals interested in internships, to their first-time jobs, to people who are looking for a new employment opportunity after 20 years, or perhaps transitioning to a second or third career. So you'll find a wide range of information there. Nonprofits and NGOs, a lot of students are interested in those. You'll see a lot of volunteer opportunities there during COVID for remote assistance during the pandemic. And I've got to say, don't pass up the opportunity personally and professionally to contribute either virtually or in your own location for a nonprofit and NGO. Deborah, let's go to the next category, please. So back at the top of the page, the next thing is hiring opportunities. We talk about top companies. Those are the top both multinational and local employers throughout this country. You can search again by location, by the name of the company, by the brands. In every location, we talk about what are the top industry opportunities in that country. In almost every location, we talk about finance and accounting, business, we talk about information technology, we talk about engineering, and then we go into what's popular in that location. If we were looking at Singapore, we would be talking about biomedical sciences. If we were looking at Brazil and South Africa, we would be talking about mining. So there are some local specific variations here. Deborah, if you'll just take me down to general trends, I want to point out to folks that we've added a special COVID section to our top location under general trends. And you'll see here that we talk about resources that are COVID related in Spain. And we talk about what the employment scenario was before COVID, what it is now, what the outlook is. One thing I will give GoinGlobal credit for is we do not provide any commentary, we provide facts. This is not upbeat, positive information. I hope to provide to you some additional thoughts and ideas in your own search at the end of looking through the site, but it's not positive. It's not great news, and you're not going to find us cherry coding what you need to know as the obvious, but we do have a special COVID section in each of these. Getting the job. Another thing that's unique about GoinGlobal, when I started in the business, I wrote a book about how to write a job or a CV in 40 countries around the world. As you may or may not know, the U.S. and Canada, North America, the only locations I'm aware of that predominantly refer to a job application as a resume. Everywhere else, it's a CV. There are years into this, amazingly to me, wide country or location-specific variations in the proper format, the topic areas that are included therein. It's so critical now that you may be primarily communicating with potential employers or internship opportunities virtually, that you get your written communication correct and culturally correct, which most people, in my experience, don't bother to do. So here's where to look. We tell you what belongs and does not belong in a cover letter, what belongs in that resume or CV. We give you examples, both language, one for somebody new to the job market, somebody who's more experienced. So I can't encourage you enough to take a look. Interview advice. You're going to be virtually interviewing. This talks to you about what you should expect to talk about, what kind of questions you should be prepared for, what type of questions are appropriate for you to ask or not ask. It talks about dress and attire, the amount of jewelry, the type of an appropriate follow-up you should do. So this is a deal killer category to me, especially in this market. You've got to prove to the person on the other side of that desk or that computer screen that you've done your homework and that you are the appropriate, culturally knowledgeable fit for whatever opportunity you're talking to them about. Work permits and visas. We have our own immigration, work permit, and visa lawyer on our team. We have a dozen additional librarians on our research team, and in addition to our folks that we rely on in country. But we have culled this information from all the country government sites. It is student specific. It's work opportunities, summer holidays, internships, business visas, the trailing spouse or the trailing partner. So you'll see a lot of very in-depth information here, including links to the forms that would have to be completed should you go forward with a job opportunity. Great information, saves you a lot of time if you take advantage of this resource. Deborah, what's next?
Professional and personal networking.
I always have to watch the clock because I get so excited about what's here. Okay, professional associations. I lived in Stockholm for 4 years. This is where I got a job. This is where you're going to get a job. Connect with your professional associations. Do it virtually. It probably costs you $50 a year to be a member. You get access to their job boards. You get access to their membership list. You start receiving their newsletters. You could probably find folks who are willing to connect with you to set up an informational interview, which I highly recommend. Just because somebody doesn't have an immediate job opportunity for you does not mean that you should not pursue any and every opportunity to talk to somebody about their industry, how it's changed through COVID, how they're currently job fishing for people, what type of salary situation is. It's a very informal, non-binding opportunity. Somebody can critique your resume or CV. I could talk about this section the whole time. Please connect with your alumni department there at UC Davis. See if folks are online. Search them by location. Search them by industry. So we've got all this information, corporate and trade groups, and then we talk about individual networking within that location. Deborah's now going to go to living there. It's got, great advice on the financial considerations. This is ever evolving. So you'll see cost of living, you'll see groceries, you'll see transportation. What are the annual holidays? What are the holiday packages you can expect to get? In Sweden, you got 6 weeks vacation the day you started a job. I mean, you were owed it. You got 6 months of maternity leave. So every country's different. So when you're negotiating or you're trying to evaluate an opportunity, This is the fine-tooth information you should get into, because something that doesn't look as financially promising in your bank account could more than make up for it by the vacation time you get, whether or not they're going to give you language training, do they have a pension system set up, if you're going to move there, what's their medical care system? My God, that should be top of the list today. So please don't discount this information just because you may be working virtually or remotely. Cultural advice, again, more important than ever that you be a knowledgeable applicant. We've got a serious section on how to behave in an office situation, how to give a presentation, how to host a meeting, how to appropriately interact with your colleagues, what's the hierarchy with managers and subordinates. Again, this is, you're not going to last long somewhere. I mean, it's hard enough to get rid of somebody in person, but if you're working remotely, if you are not interacting the way that is appropriate and the way they're used to working, then I think that could be a costly oversight on your part. General resources just talks about the general resources in that country. It just gives you an overview. It has embassy listings. It talks about online trade publications you can read. Safety and security. With all the terrorist stuff that have happened in the last several years, this has sadly been a new addition to our guides. So again, what you've just looked at is the same drop-down list, the same range of information for all of our 120 locations. Deborah, let's go back to the home page, please. And let's take a look at the next section, which are jobs and internships. Let me tell you quickly about this, and then Deborah's going to do an actual search. So we pull job and internship opportunities from the leading publicly and corporately available job sites around the world. These are not companies or employers we have a personal relationship with. We don't get paid for posting this information. We go through and have provided for you in one search opportunity the way to search for jobs posted in internships around the world. Something that Deborah will show you in a minute that makes our system fairly unique is the opportunity to search for jobs and internships that have been posted both in English and in the local language. When you have time to play with Going Global, I want you to see how this functions in more detail. So what this means is, if you're looking for a job in Spain, we're just talking about Spain, it allows you to search for jobs that have been posted. Please listen to what I'm saying. Have been posted in English, and also, in addition, have been posted in Spanish. What we found as this system evolved at Going Global is that you will have many employers and internship opportunities that have only been posted in the local language, not posted also in English. So when you take the time, or you have the talent to search both in English and in the local language, you will find that the number of opportunities will go up 3, 4, 5, and 6 times the number of opportunities than if you had just conducted the opportunity in English. So Deborah will show you how that functions. As 16 million of these worldwide in focus, and new opportunities constantly come into the system. So Deborah, please show us.
Interrupt to ask a question that you started to talk about. I just want to fully make sure we answer the student's question. Are all jobs and internships listed on the site vetted for scams?
No. I mean, we don't, 16 million, it would be all I do all day long. No. What we have done is, you'll see we've got them from Career Builder and Indeed and Monster, and then we've got them from the top job sites in Spain and in South Africa. So we very carefully select the databases or the search engines that we interact with. And I can tell you, I've been at it 20 years. I've never had one complaint that an opportunity that we posted was not legitimate or a scam. Never. I'm literally knocking on wood. So no, we do not. Okay, Deborah?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is a few different searches, both in the jobs and the internships database. The first search I'm going to do is going to be for an analyst, and we're going to do it in our first Spanish-speaking country, which is Argentina. So here you'll see 302 results for an analyst, and this is pulling from English job boards. Let's look at what happens when we pull from Spanish job boards. So now we go to over 1,400 opportunities. So the number of opportunities really can expand dramatically for many of these positions.
I hope everyone is seeing where Deborah did this. So she did analyst in English, and she got 320, and then she did analista in Spanish and got over 1,400 results. So that shows you the value of conducting a search in both languages. Deborah?
Okay, so if you look over here on the left-hand side, this is where you can come in and add additional information to narrow down your search. So you can search by occupation, city, radius. You can search by the age of the position. You can also do an advanced search using Boolean search terms, as well as a company name. So we have both an advanced search function and a basic search function. So that is one search for you for jobs. The next one, I'm going to do a search just using the keyword remote. And this time we're going to go to, let's go to the United Kingdom, and we'll do a quick search here. And here you'll see over 10,000 results pulling in remote working. So that is one example. Let's just change the country very fast, and let's go to the United States. Do a quick search here. And here in the U.S., you can see the number of opportunities. You can narrow down your searches as much as you'd like. I'm going to do one more search for you for jobs, and we're going to do digital farming. And this time we're going to go to the United States. Do a quick search, and here you'll see 32 positions in digital farming in the U.S. Okay, Marianne, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, Deborah. You've done the job search. Did you just do the internship search as well?
No, I'm getting ready to do that. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about the internship.
No, if you would just go through to that. I'm trying to get a little conscious of our time.
Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do a search. I'm going to do a few different internship searches for you. I'm going to come back and use that remote keyword again. And this time we're going to come down and let's go to France. And I'll do a search. And so here you'll see 93 internship positions pulling in the remote keyword in France. You can also easily change your country. So if you wanted to come here and see remote positions in the U.S., very easy to do it. So here you'll see over 2,200, almost 2,300. I'm going to do one more search for you. And this time, I'm just going to do a search in the U.S. I'm going to go to Sacramento, and I'm going to pull in all of the internship searches in Sacramento, if I can spell it. There it goes. And so here you'll see 115 internship positions in the Sacramento area.
Your
okay,
system.
Marianne?
All right. One of the things that I want to point out, and you'll hear more in my presentation, is when you are searching for remote jobs, it could be remote from a company that's based in France, or posted in France. A lot of companies that are advertising remote opportunities really prefer you to be in the location, and they'll say that so that you are available to come into a street address location and meet with other team members at some time. Remote can mean it's a French company, but you could be based in China. So there are all sorts of, I think that will start to get fleshed out in these search engines, more fine-tuning of what the word freelance or telework really means. But just so you know, you'll find variations here because there are actual variations in the postings. So take your time looking through it. Remote could mean worldwide, and remote could mean Paris, France only. Okay, Deborah?
Thanks, Mary. This is Paula. I just wanted to confirm that we answered one of the students' questions that was earlier that what you just talked about. Will we be able to use GoinGlobal to find job and internship opportunities in the U.S. that can be done remotely from another country? And so
absolutely.
I answered that. You know, it's going to depend on the job, but you'll want to look at some more detail in the job description.
Yeah, and like I said, that's starting to get more fine-tuned. So you can put in the U.S. and it could be a U.S. employer. It could be, you know, a U.S. employer that doesn't matter where you're based. That is becoming more fine-tuned in these ads. But you really have to take time opening the opportunities, you know, burrowing into the search engine to read what the exact language is, to understand exactly what they mean. But there seems to be not only hundreds of thousands of them, but it's where the world's going, so you're going to find more. Well, on the H-1B visa page, Deborah, I'm not going to go into an example because I think it's important we get to the slides. So the H-1B visas are the way that international talent educated here in the United States has an opportunity to find employment upon graduation. The U.S. Department of Labor is the only source for this information. However, GoinGlobal has developed their own search engine, I got to tell you, much more easy to use, that allows you to go back to the year 2009 for a historical perspective, if you'd like that, to see what employers have repeatedly put forth job opportunities for foreign talent. Where are they based? You can search, Deborah, don't do a search, by occupation, by job title, the name of the company, the year, the location. This is an evolving situation, H-1B visas. We are trying to stay on top of it. We are reliant upon the U.S. Department of Labor, the only source for this information, but it is an evolving, and not very positively so, but it is an evolving opportunity. What I invite you to do is look at the information, what's there, because it's a real indicator of companies who are open and interested in hiring international talent. H-1B visas have nothing to do with internships, but I would tell you, if it were me, this is a company that's interested in international talent, can support it, typically has multicultural teams, and you will be able to look at the type of job opportunities that they've typically been advertising and in what location. It is a real source of insider knowledge. So even if you're not looking for a job, even if you're looking for something remotely, internships, if H-1B visas disappear in our lifetime, it is a great source of intelligence. Deborah, let's go quickly to the employer directory. The employer directory is, as I said at the top of the call, a repository of almost 500,000 corporate profiles. 193 countries, it's updated every 90 days, it's both the top local employers and multinational employers that are based there. Again, who's there, who's based there. You can search it by revenue, you can search it by location. Say you wanted to go to finance and accounting and find all the places that KPMG is based. You can search it that way. You can look at their sales, the number of employees, etc. I'm sorry we don't have time to show you how to use these tools further. I want to repeat how valuable participating in one of our online training sessions is to learn further about what we offer here at GoinGlobal. Paul, with that, I'd like to go to the slides because I think there's good information there. And hopefully we'll have opportunities for some questions at the end. I don't look like that today. All right. The future of work. You're going to learn something today, and you're not going to be surprised at some of what I have to say either. I can tell you that I am so much more enthusiastic about the work opportunities and internship opportunities around the world than I was a week ago. The employment corporate business market, as you know it, will have to change on every level that you know it. I wish I could ask you to close your eyes and just listen to what I have to say for these 6 or 7 slides and just let your mind race with the opportunities that if they're not there today, I can guarantee you they can be there and they will be there tomorrow. Working virtually is here to stay. What I mean that this is permanent, my friends. This isn't a COVID situation. This is your life. Yes, going back to an office is going to change, and you will have in-person opportunities, but working virtually is where your future will be. So I encourage you to develop that mindset. I encourage you to develop those connections, and it just makes me so excited for you. We talk about business travel for those of you who are on the call that are more senior type employees. It's different. It's Zoom travel. I don't know what are going to happen to the hotels of the world. Those will evolve, friends. Those of you who are in the design business, the schools that I'm aware of or the locations that are taking hotels over for quarantine situations, those will evolve into probably many shared offices, or in a little while I'm going to talk to you about the new thing called co-living. I see hotels evolving into that. So even though business travel is permanently changed, the infrastructure, except for airlines, I'm not sure where they're going to go, but the infrastructure that is already in place should provide you with a lot of opportunities. Just let your mind flow. Office sharing and shift work. I was really shocked to find out, we're going to talk about real estate in a minute. That's kind of a unique something that's evolving that offers lots of opportunities. Office sharing. My bank president here, what's going to take a hit is commercial real estate, because what he told me is they're completely downsizing at the largest bank in the South, not by employees, but by commercial footprints. So what happens is their senior people are going to, you're no longer going to get the corner office. You might get it, but you're going to share it with 2 other people. And somebody's going to come in Monday, Wednesday, and the other person's going to come in Tuesday, Thursday. Maybe somebody else there is going to come in on Friday. So office sharing is going to change. You're going to see people who work shift work, taking that same commercial footwork or footprint and working, 8 to 2 and 2 to whatever. Freelancing and remote work is here to stay. Now, what's a challenge is what's the difference between freelancing and remote work? Freelancing historically has been project work. Doesn't have any benefits to it. It could be an hourly rate you negotiate. It could be a project work. So in my mind, that's what freelancing is. What's remote work? Remote work could be really freelancing, or it could be that you actually have an employment contract with a company where you have a salary and benefits, but you do it remotely. And the same as telework. I don't challenge you. I invite you to kick those tires. Employers themselves don't even know for sure what those things mean yet. So you get in the weeds, have that discussion, have that figure out. Just because it says remote work, well, it could be no benefits, no salary, no nothing. Or it could be the full kit and caboodle. So please, when you're looking at these opportunities, flesh that out. Work via a shared virtual economy. You're going to work in global virtual teams. Deborah, if you'll go to the next slide. And let's talk about that a little, because I think it's, again, I'm so excited for you. Let's talk about internships. New normal opportunities. I think they're going to explode. Now, are they going to have a fee associated with it, a salary, a fee structure? No, but I don't know. Yes and no, as that's always been the truth in internships. But I think now that people are wrapping their mind around working collaboratively in a remote setting, you're going to see those opportunities explode. And the good news for you is it's going to provide you with the opportunity to have on-the-job cultural experience without the high cost of living abroad. You're not going to have to move there. The same for a job. You're not going to have to move there, get housing there, leave your family behind, go into potentially a subpar medical system. You're going to be able to have that same type of experience remotely. So again, I'm excited for you because if they're not all there now, I can promise you there will be. Foreign talent will always be needed. The way of the world, with COVID or without COVID, there will be and are skill shortages everywhere in the world. Go and look at the GoinGlobal Jobs and Internship database and just search through some of those things. You will see skill shortages. There are some countries like Australia that give you the leg up or a bonus in the work permit or visa application application process if you can fill a need for which they have a skill shortage. They've always had a skill shortage for nurses. So skill shortages in remote work are a perfect combination. The same thing for aging populations. Almost every one of the first world countries have both aging populations combined with smaller populations. You're going to see opportunities expand for international talent, whether or not you live there, and the mindset evolve. So these three things, I think, are going to continue to evolve positively for foreign talent. Deborah? Okay, here are the areas of job promise. If IT is not my favorite industry, but if you've got this background, there is nothing about it that doesn't provide an opportunity. I loved one of the articles that I read that said, IT opportunities are pandemic. The pandemic doesn't affect them. Recessions don't affect them. They are just exploding. Initially, when I did this presentation, I had 3 slides just of IT specialties. Cybersecurity is a significant one, not only for you personally, but there's such a concern in the corporate world as folks start to work remotely, start to work from home, or getting into the cloud, accessing what would usually be limited to an office computer and having to have access and manipulate and share that data from home. Huge, huge industry. Risk analysis. Getting there and finding out what new industries are worth going into, what new opportunities are worth approaching, what's the upside, what's the downside, behavioral behavioral, I didn't even say it right the second time, aspects to going into new industries, promoting new products. Finance and insurance, less money going around right now, more important what you do with it, how you invest it, how you spend it, the real estate aspect of it. Virtual managers, you're going to find out it's not a piece of cake to work virtually. I've done it 20 years. I love having my own data schedule, but it is a challenge. And as a business manager, it's very challenging. Not everybody works well at home. Not everybody can work in an open structure. So you will find virtual manners coming in, services, resources. We're on Zoom today. You're talking about training to help people work. You're going to look at resources that will expand there. Online education, we already know that's exploding and continual to explode. Deborah, next slide. Healthcare. Nothing new I can tell you about that. You know it, here to stay. Nurses and have been in shortage for a decade in most countries I'm aware of, so that will only continue. You're going to get more and more into telemedical stuff. You're going to get more and more into home health care. So that industry as well, it's evolving, and just because you're not a nurse or a medical practitioner does not mean that there is not an opportunity for you there. If you're a risk analyst, if you're an IT person, if you're, I just can't, a delivery service, you know, wanting to set up a delivery service to deliver meds. Everything on here is exploding, so don't just take these categories literal. Okay, I got to go faster. Emotional intelligence, how people are acting, how they're buying. Deborah, go back to that other slide, please. Media and entertainment, what are you doing? I'm watching Netflix. That kind of stuff is exploding. Advertising, marketing. Have you watched that change on your TV? Have you watched, you know, COVID ads and you can try out our car virtually and all that kind of stuff? It's exploding. E-commerce specialists, just when you thought you didn't want to talk to another call center again, too bad. It's a part of all of our lifetimes. Logistics and supply management. Look at what Amazon's doing. Look how that's changed. Look at folks who had farms in Iowa who just had to post it to people to come and get the tomatoes out of their field because they couldn't get trucks to get them anywhere. That's going to all change, but there are challenges as we speak in logistics and supply management. That doesn't mean you have to drive a truck or work for Amazon, but there's lots going on here, even for mom and pop businesses. Deborah, next. Let me just talk about the opportunity in residential real estate. I'm not talking about buying it. I'm telling about people reconfiguring their house, updating the Wi-Fi, putting in home offices, the cybersecurity issue. We talk about, you'll start reading about new collar, and that's combining white collar people with blue collar opportunities. I was amazed at waste management, not on here. Colgate University and many other schools, the first indicator of a virus is in your waste product. Not in a swab, not in your temperature, and Colgate is putting in customized waste management into every floor of every dorm because that's where you find out first. If I'm going to put everything down here, it would excite you to no end. Co-living, I think this is what's going to happen to hotels as we know it. Folks your age, I don't think I could do it, but they're going into what is a dormitory-like living situation that's much more low cost with share amenities. So you will have a room, and then you will have, a lot of you live in those situations now in you know, off-campus housing where you have your own room, but you have common areas for a kitchen area or a living room, you have a pool, you have a gym. This is where people are going to be forced to and opt to live, and live, I don't want to say permanently, but live for 5 or 6 years. You can move home or you can live here. And I think that's where hotels are going. So, Deborah, let's go to the next one. I know I'm just talking too much. Grocery stores, pharmacies, delivery services, healthcare. Global discussions about the evolution. It's not like the world is only focusing on COVID. They're still looking at what the future of construction and building design is going to be, urbanization, city planning. Folks are leaving the cities to go to suburbia. If you wanted to get that spot in New York City at a cheaper price, wait 6 months. Mass transportation. Are people going to need it when they're working remotely? This stuff is evolving left and right. Renewable energies will be where, if there's any money left over, it's going to go. God love you folks in California and these horrible fires. Climate change here to stay. You're going to find places, cities, most informed politicians buying into the fact that we have climate change and that's going to happen, and we're going to have to invest more and more in that. Next. Maybe that's the last one. I'm not going to take any more time to do this. Paula, I will continue with the presentations. They may look like common sense. I don't think they are. But if you have questions, I'd like to take the opportunity to do that. Paula?
Hi, sorry, I was muted.
That's all right.
I don't think I see any more questions, but please go ahead and type your questions into the chat box and I will be able to answer, or Marianne will be able to answer them. In the meantime, I'm going to just share that PowerPoint slide again while we are waiting for some questions to come in.
I do want to encourage folks to take a look at the Power Blast slides on virtual interviewing. I think it's easy to make a lot of significant mistakes that not much legwork will not rectify, as far as making sure you're in an appropriate location, that you test your technology. Send a thank you note. Can I tell you, it's my Southern training. You send a thank you note to whoever interviews you, and you will be one out of a million who takes the time to do it. And if you send it handwritten, they'll never forget it. So if there's one point I can tell you from all these interviewings, whether you do it important, if you want to differentiate yourself between you and everybody else, send a thank you note. Paula, any questions?
Let's see, no questions. Let's see, a few questions coming in. Could you talk a bit about the state of the English language in the international job market? That's the first question.
I would say English is the common business language for larger businesses around the world. I'll talk about Stockholm, where I was. All the large companies, English was a prerequisite. I think it depends on the location. I think it depends. Most of the time, to me, it seems to be dependent on the size of the company. So the smaller the company you work with, the less opportunity, the less they are multilingual, and the location. You go to capital cities, they're almost all fluent. You go to smaller locations, they are not. I think anytime you are working in any country, the fact that you are bilingual is a very significant attribute. And whether or not the job is only in English, if I were bilingual, I would certainly aggressively push that in both my resume or CV and in the interview.
Thank you. And then there's another question that says, is there any advice as to how we can stand out to employers and not be in a situation where we apply to hundreds of jobs with no positive response, especially on GoinGlobal?
Well, I don't have any more insider knowledge than you do, and they don't, they don't post that. I can tell you in my experience that there are two things. Number one, do your research. Most people come to a job interview virtually or important blind. They don't even read the specifics of the job or the internship offer. If you want to get that job, you want to repeat back to that employer or individual exactly what they told you were looking for. So you repeat that information back to them, you get their annual report, you look at their future forecasting, and you come into the opportunity as knowledgeable and precisely as you can. Most people don't ever bother to do that. So I would say that would make you stand out in an interview situation. Companies are overwhelmed. I try to connect with career centers. They're overwhelmed. So I think you're going to find a lot of non-responses. But having a good resume, having a good CV, watching how you concisely apply to an opportunity, your goal is to get to the interview. Your goal is to get to the interview. Network, get to a professional association. Does anybody know anybody who works at Microsoft, who works at Zoom? Most jobs aren't posted. Only like 5% of the jobs in the world are posted. They go in-house. Other people talk to other people. They run into somebody at church or at the gym or I don't know where you go today, hanging out in the doctor's office or wherever it is. That's where jobs come from. So look at those associations and network, and I always follow it up repeatedly. Just because you don't hear once, I would repeatedly, without looking desperate and obnoxious, re-emphasize my interest in the opportunity. At least most of you probably don't live in Sweden, where they used to return my resume in an envelope and just say not interested at the top. So I got a reply, but I got my resume back in the mail. Paula, any other questions?
No, there's no other questions that came through. Since we are out of time, I just want to point you all in the direction of some other upcoming events as part of our Global Career Development Series. We have a Teaching English Abroad panel on October 9th, Undergraduate Research Opportunities in Germany on October 12th. We have Creating a Career Vision Workshop, which is a 2-hour workshop on October 13th, and Building Your Professional Brand Through LinkedIn on October 20th. A Peace Corps panel, October 27th, as well as save the date for our Global Learning Showcase, which you can currently register on right now with Eventbrite, which is going to be the week of October 26th to 29th. Thank you all so much for joining, and I appreciate everybody who was able to come, and big thank you to Deborah and to Marianne from Going Global, who took their time out of their day today to be here with us. I see a lot of comments saying thank you. If anyone has any final thoughts or questions or thank yous, feel free to unmute yourself, and we'll stay on for another couple of minutes if someone has any other questions.